Welcome everybody to our Lift Up Women in Life Sciences community live broadcast. Today you're here with me, Louise Williams, and my co-host Georgia Harding. This is about our 15th live broadcast, which we're super excited to be on. We've got two fabulous key speakers that can't wait to join us. But what I want to do, if you're completely new to joining the Lift Up community group and our live event that takes place every month, I just want to do a little bit of an introduction into Lift Up itself, and then myself and Georgia. So Lift Up community, it was kind of built by a group of female ambassadors within Fraser Dove here about 18 months ago now. So the summer of 2022, we've gone on a bit of a journey, haven't we, Georgia?
Yes,
It's been a big one. Yeah, we have anywhere between sort of 400, 900 attendees every month. We've had 40,000 global views from all our live broadcasts. And we've now spun off to Lift Up Journeys, which are podcasts that are going to be released very soon, and Lift Up Connect, which is in-person events that have been taking place in Europe. So the Lift Up mission here is all about connecting, inspiring, and championing women all the way from academia through to C-suite within life sciences. And the ambassadors here internally, we kind of felt that being an executive search talent consultancy in life sciences, it was about how could we leverage off all the wonderful relationships we've got with women in the industry and get them to share their journeys, their career challenges, their successes, their hurdles, and really kind of inspire that next generation of women within life sciences. So we're very pleased to be back, and actually today we are here to talk about women in STEM, which is a huge topic, and our community group have been sharing some great questions that we can put to Christy and Sigma, our two key speakers. So I'm Louise Williams. I've been in staffing for about 19 years now. I joined life sciences around 10 years ago. I was focused in medical and clinical before managing contract and permanent teams, moving through to director. I'm now the MD here at Fraser Dove International, which is the life sciences executive search talent consultancy. I've also got two children. I've got a 3-year-old boy and a 7-year-old daughter, both in which keep me very busy outside of work. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm very pleased to be back, and I'm going to pass this over to Georgia, if you wouldn't mind doing your intro.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. So happy to be back. My name is Georgia Harding, and I've been here at Fraser Dove for the last 2 years. I work within our sciences team, like Louise, very much focusing on our clinical and medical recruitment positions, really anywhere from translational medicine, clinical development, clinical operations, medical affairs. I've been a Lift Up ambassador since I started here at Fraser Dove, and really being able to see the opportunity, the community grow from the beginning to where we are now has been incredible. But working within this field has really sort of allowed me to create some strong relationships with women in STEM, our topic today. So I'm so grateful to be part of today's panel. But prior to joining Fraser Dove, I recently completed my master's in migration studies, and being part of this community and sort of being able to bridge the gap and make that difference, no matter how small, has really been so important to me. So happy to have you all here.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Georgia. And it's wonderful working with Georgia in the team. So pleased that she could join me here as a co-host. So what we want to do is say hello to the whole network, everybody. For those of you that are dialing in, we know that we get a lot of repeat community people join from an audience perspective. So if you are completely new, then please say hello in the comments, say where it is that you're dialing in from, perhaps what area of life sciences you're in. That's always good to know. And as we move throughout this live broadcast, we will be getting you as an audience asking some questions to our key speakers, Sigma and Christy. So what we do request, don't we, Georgia? I don't know if you want to run through this bit.
Yes, so please do put a Q in front of your question just to make it easier for us to navigate through the comments and make sure that we can get our key speakers answering some of your important questions.
Excellent. So we're going to say hello to Chloe. She's our marketing manager in London office. Thanks so much, Chloe, for joining us today. We've also got Sandeep from Vancouver. Brilliant. Wow. We've got Chris from Virginia. Thank you so much for joining us. We've got Ollie Oldman in our Farnham HQ. Thanks for joining us, Ollie. We've got a repeat community group, previous actually, key speaker, Libet. Thank you so much for joining us from New Jersey. Cool, they're all coming in. Thank you so much. We've got Charlie. We've got Nia from Carolina. So thank you so much. Oh, we've also got UK. We're here in the UK. Thanks, Sylvia from Shropshire, and Jacqueline as well from Beaconsfield. So keep them coming. We're going to try and get to as many of these questions as possible. Just keep them coming through the comments feed, but just pop in a queue as George has just highlighted there. It really helps us navigate through the comments. So without further ado, we really want to bring in our two key speakers. So first up, we have got Christy. Thank you so much, Christy, for joining us today. If you could do an introduction to the audience.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Christy Hebner. I'm actually recently retired as of January 2nd, but I had a very long career in biotechnology and pharma. I started my career actually in the 1990s working for Abbott Laboratories, and then went on to get my PhD in virology. And from there, I spent my entire career in industry working in drug discovery and drug development for antivirals and antibacterials. And I worked both at large companies, small companies. I worked at a company called Gilead Sciences. I worked at Novartis, which many of you know is a very large company. And then in the last 10 years have been at small biotechs on the West Coast. And upon retirement, I was senior vice president of our respiratory development programs for a company called Vir Biotechnology, located in San Francisco in the United States. I am a mom. I have a 12-year-old child, and it's just been an amazing career journey for me, trying to navigate all the ins and outs of having family while being a biotech executive. So it's a pleasure to be here today to talk about my experiences with you all.
Thank you, Christy. And yeah, to integrate that balance is always a tough thing to try and manage, but very inspiring career. So really excited to have you on the panel today. And without further ado, we're going to bring in Sigma. Thank you, Sigma, for joining us. If you would mind doing an introduction too.
Of course. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. And I'm so appreciative being part of this particular forum. So I'm Sigma Mostafa. I'm Chief Scientific Officer for KBI Biopharma. KBI is a CDMO, Contract Development Manufacturing Organization, one of the top 10 in the world. I've been with KBI 14 years. In my current role, the cell line process analytical divisions report through me. So I have a large, like 600 people organization that I run. But I started as a director for upstream development in KBI. And when I joined KBI, we had one site and two programs. So seeing an organization at that stage, that nascent stage, and being able to grow that organization grounds up is something I'm very proud of, and also very grateful to have that opportunity, right? Along that journey, one of the things that I found very rewarding is I recruited a lot of people, a lot of them are women who are now in my senior leadership team. They came right out of school and now they are great leaders, right? So that is something I feel very passionate about. So prior to KBI, I was with Fujifilm for a couple of years. And before that, I was with Eli Lilly. Eli Lilly was my first job right after my PhD in chemical engineering from Northwestern University. I was at Lilly for about 7 years, and I was running groups, but also was a core team leader running CMC activities. So very rewarding experience there as well. Personally, my husband and I both are career people, so juggling career and personal life is a daily thing, and have a son who is 18-year-old, a freshman. So there are some, adjustments there as well. Again, glad to be here.
Yeah, love that. Thank you, Sigma. And so similar to Christy, what an inspiring career. And you've obviously demonstrated not only, longevity in some of those companies in which you've operated in, but the career development, that you have then seen and built from a team's perspective at KBI is really inspiring as well. So thank you for sharing. So we're going to get straight to some questions. We've got some great sort of lined up questions from our community group that have come through. But again, please pop in some questions from you as an audience as we go. But one of the ones that really sort of stuck out at mine first, we thought was a great one for the beginning, was what led you to pursue a career in STEM, and what inspired you to choose your specific STEM field? Because there'll be a lot of people out there, academia, like studying, thinking, what options are there for me? What should I do? And it's quite nice to hear perhaps your journey. So I'll come to you first, Christy, with this.
Yeah, definitely. So, I want to note that my family, we grew up in a very small rural area of the United States. We never had a PhD in our family. I was the first. And so, a career like this or a career in STEM, it wasn't something that was very typical in my family. But my mother was a math and science teacher in elementary school. And so she would perform experiments with us. We had little microscopes and things like this
Wow.
at home at the kitchen table in the summers. And she really went out of her way, for both of her kids to help us kind of know the world from the science perspective. And it was really those things that really just opened my mind, even at a very young age, to want to pursue a career in STEM. And for me as a virologist, I grew up in the 1980s during the HIV and AIDS epidemic or pandemic, right? And so, that aspect of viruses, virology, the effects globally that these entities have on health and well-being was really front and center even when I was young.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was an area why I always wanted to go into virology and microbiology to see if there was a way to maybe make a difference in the world. And so it was really this culmination of things that led for me to pursue a career in drug discovery and development.
Yeah, that's really fascinating. And sometimes it's interesting just how milestones in history can literally change, the kind of thought process or dynamic of a family or anything. It's just interesting, isn't it? That it makes you kind of wonder whether, the COVID-19 and, the vaccines and the pandemic, for potentially those that are 17 to 21 or leaving school to think, actually, what is now available to me that wouldn't have been maybe available 10 years prior. So interesting, isn't it? But thank you. Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Christy. And Sigma, what are your thoughts with this question?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name is Sigma, right? It's the Greek alphabet. So the story is my dad was a mathematician. I was born in Bangladesh and grew up to high school there. My dad, as a mathematician, named me Sigma, which initially as a child I didn't like so much because it was such a different name that people couldn't pronounce or didn't know why I have such a name. But I was in some ways destined to be, I guess, in STEM field. What I liked, I knew I was good in math. I knew I was good in biology. I really wanted to have an impact. So it was important for me to have kind of an engineering bent to it so I can see the results. It's important that I take a drug to market, or it's important that I'm closer to the result, essentially. So early on, I didn't know what that might look like. I just knew I'm kind of good in these things. And then when I was choosing my undergraduate major, at that time I realized that chemical engineering can be a good field because it is so broad and it is all about problem solving, and there is a biochemical engineering aspect to it. So that kind of sealed my fate, essentially. A lot of undergrad research that I did that kind of I pretty much stayed with the field from there.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, isn't it? I was reading an article, actually, some of the STEM women, I think from 2023, some of the government statistics and things, and they were saying actually more recently there has been a significant increase with women and girls looking at studying like psychology. And that kind of aspect of science has really picked up. But the areas that are still lower is the kind of chemical engineering, the physical science, the mathematical side, which is interesting. That still seems to be the underpiece. But thank you very much for sharing that. We've got one comment came in here from Deborah. Lol, my favorite Xmas present was my brother's chemistry set. That's hilarious, actually, because last Christmas my daughter just wanted a potions making kit. She just literally wants to be able to mix. So I don't know what that says about her future. But we're going to come through to this one here then. In your experience, how can we encourage more young women to pursue STEM careers? Sigma, let's come to you with this one.
Sure.
What are your thoughts?
Sure. I think nothing motivates people more than seeing role models, right? Obviously, in terms of having the right initiatives and right opportunities being set up is important. But being able to see someone who looks, sounds like you, comes from similar background as you, and has gone through similar challenges as you, right? And yet found a path for progress is what matters, right? So creating opportunities for women who are succeeding and who wants to give back, right? Creating those connections, I think really
Yeah.
makes an impact.
Yeah.
I do think there are a lot of very strong, good initiatives out there for bringing women, young women into STEM. I do see challenges in retaining or providing them the right tools to be able to succeed longer term. So
Yeah.
maybe more focus is needed there.
To be on there. Okay, interesting. Thanks, Sigma. And Christy, what are your thoughts with this?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Sigma more. I mean, representation matters. I think that's why also communities like Lift Up are so important, actually, because, when you feel alone, like you're the only, when you're the only woman in the room, it's not the greatest of feelings, honestly, as far as how do you get your voice across when you feel different than everybody else. And so I think that the more that we can help each other, and women who have risen in the ranks, either in academia or in industry, that we can also be a guidepost for more junior women in STEM. I think that
Yeah.
this is incredibly important, that we're here to support each other.
Yeah, I love that. And that probably does tie into various sponsorship or mentorship or coaching programs that are, 100% really important. You touched upon the Lift Up community group. Obviously, we're not the only community group out there, but I think that there is 100%, as you've mentioned, like the importance of these groups. So maybe from an encouragement from a young woman to pursue a STEMing career, my advice as well to people would be get connected, like with people that you don't know, whether that is on a LinkedIn networking group pages, or whether that's just expanding your own personal connections with people in STEM that are more experienced than you to broaden that network, whether it be attend events within STEM and build up relationships and network face to face. But I think that the more close you are to individuals that are like-minded and have maybe gone through what could be a similar journey to what you're going to go through is a great support tool mechanism for maybe the future. So
Can I just chime in as well? Like, for everyone on this call, like, don't be afraid or hesitate to just reach out to somebody, even if you don't know them. And I want to say, there were people in my career all along the way, men and women, who really helped me, supported me. And for me to be able to do that for others also, that has been one of the greatest gifts, is to give that back. It's been some of the best use of my time and efforts, and just so rewarding for me as well. So please don't hesitate. The worst thing that can happen is someone says no.
Yes.
But I think you may be genuinely surprised how many people are more than willing to give their time, and it's a privilege for them to do so.
Yeah, agree.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Christy. That's what I was going to mention as well. Some of the barrier is in the opposite end as well, right? For people like ourselves, how to get engaged, right? How to be able to reach a broader audience. All of us have time constraints, etc. But this is a great forum, Lift Up, and one of the nice things is, cost isn't involved, or you don't have to be part of a particular small group to be engaged. I think those early barriers also hinder people from reaching out. So
Yeah.
I think this really helps, but we want to engage, to Christy's point, right? And you'll be surprised how much response you will get.
Yeah, no, thank you both for sharing that. I couldn't agree more. And I remember having a number of conversations with some other key speakers as well prior, where they were kind of saying advice just on, as you're growing as well within life sciences, STEM, it's don't just reach out within your niche, but reach out to other women, individuals, men, anybody from a networking perspective, because growth and having that kind of growth mindset and learning different tools all within that STEM banner or life sciences generally is such an important tool as you grow and develop. I remember a lady called Lynn Sullivan always talking about her career development being like a jungle gym as opposed to just a career ladder. Because, you know, when you reach the SVP or the C-suite, you know, so often or not, you have to have such a broad breadth of experience and knowledge, and not just always being tunnel vision, vertically aligned. So get networking, reach out. Like you said, I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to want to support and help you. Georgia, just where there's been a few more comments that are coming in, which is great, but I don't know whether I should just pop to one more question before we go to the audience with one. But we've got here, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome in your STEM career? And if so, how did you overcome it? And we did a whole topic on imposter syndrome, didn't we, Georgia? Probably about 9 months ago now. It's quite
Such
a big
an important topic.
Yeah, and you know, there are certain times in which that can come into play for individuals. That can be early stage, you know, transitioning into the industry for the first time. It could be parenthood. It could be coming back off maternity leave or back off of a career break, and that sense of self-doubt. Lots of different things. My question here is, have you either ever experienced it? How did you overcome it? So, Christy, I'll come to you with this one first.
Yeah, every day. I'm serious, every day. And, you know, I'll tell you what really changed it for me, though, was, you know, one of the CEOs that I've worked for, phenomenal human, and I had been in a leadership group with him, and he was giving his time and talking with us. And I had said to him, do you ever, and this guy's like, I won't say who it is, but it's like a legend, right? And
he knows who he is if he's watching.
And I had said, you know, did you ever experience imposter syndrome in your career? And he said, always. Mm-hmm. And he said, you know, it's very human for us to feel this. And you know, it changed it for me, because I felt that he's being so honest. If he's felt this, right, then I shouldn't feel any shame that I'm you know, feeling this as well. Yeah. And I think that the biggest thing is, you know, just to learn to fight through it, like change that tape in your head that is telling you that you don't know what you're doing. Stop listening to that. Right. And just be, you know, just go in there and say, I know what I'm doing. I know how to do this. Right. Yeah. And so it really is, it's every day working to kind of reframe your mind, to remember that you're enough. Right. And that your experience has led you here. And you know, stand up for yourself. Yeah. And so, yeah, it is a constant battle, but I think we can at least take heart that it's something that we're all kind of collectively experience together, you know, in our journey. And this is where we can also help each other as well. And when we're having these moments of doubt.
So this is how to overcome it. To kind of summarize, there's a lady called Anna Mosley, a UK coach who we work very closely with here, and she talks about, you know, positive affirmations, you know, good self-talk, and what kind of rings out from what you just said there is what she labels second thought, where often or not you have these first thoughts that come into your mind, and it's so easy to be reactive based on those first thoughts, but it's just taking a beat and thinking, is that first thought productive? Is that really do I believe in that? You know, do I need to push that one out? Like, give yourself a bit of mental time to think about the second thought, which is often the one in which you act upon, which in your mind, what you've just said there is, actually, I've got the confidence, I've got the skill set, I know what it is I'm doing, have a bit of self-belief and get out there and kind of do it. And that second thought kicks in. So it's allowing yourself a bit of that time to do that. So yeah, sorry, I was really advocating what you said there, Christy. So Sigma, I'll come to you with this question.
Yeah, same answer every day, right? No question about it. And for me, imposter syndrome is, you know, it's that anxiety, constant anxiety, and not being able to process your success, not being able to truly experience it and grow from it, right? So therefore, you don't even realize that you have had these successes along the way. And so for me, honestly, I was very, very blessed that I had loved ones around me who would tell me that, look at your success. I believe in you, even if you don't believe in yourself, right? So it helps if you can frame. For me, framing has been difficult. So as in being able to tell myself that I can do it, I learned it over time. But it really helps to have mentors or loved ones who believed in me, honestly.
Support.
Yep. That
Yeah,
support and surrounding yourself with those positive influence is very important. And Christy, like having a CEO that you can have that kind of conversation with. There is a reality, I think there is a gender reality here where women feel more of the imposter syndrome because naturally they're not as confident first, then you deliver, right? Men can be that way. And it, at least for me, it was like I absolutely 100%, 120% have to be convinced I know this before I'll feel confident about it. So you're constantly a little bit behind.
That's very true. I hadn't really thought of it like that. And I thought what you said there, where it was kind of like if you're careful that you are in that first mindset and in the imposter syndrome stage, then actually you don't almost acknowledge or recognize those successes. And I think that was a really important thing that I picked up that you said there. And we really need to do that. We have to, the small wins, the recognizing of achievements is so important, isn't it? Thank you for sharing. I think imposter syndrome is a whole topic that you could really deep dive into. There was a comment in here or a question from Jacqueline. I'm not sure if you'd seen that one.
Yeah. So could one of the challenges of women going into STEM be due to the lack of understanding about the scope of the roles in the industry and the opportunity to move between disciplines? She's used a personal example here of having gone into a local high school in order to speak with the students about pharmaceutical development and the breadth of roles. So is it really about sort of raising awareness of the opportunities out there and it not just being narrowed down? I mean, Sigma, coming to you first, what are your thoughts on this?
Absolutely. And no question about it. I had no clue what it meant to be in industry until I was in industry, right? And, I came after graduate school, right? So I do think there is that gap still to truly understand what the role entails and what kind of background you need to get into that role, right? The barriers are actually much lower than people think in terms of moving into new field, moving across fields, and then build upon. So again, all of us who are in leadership positions would love to have the opportunity to discuss how, what has been our role in different phases of our life, what kind of actual activities were involved. I do think there's a gap there. That, just having videos out there talking through what day to day what it means would be quite useful, because it's the point here Jacqueline is making is it's not all about being at the bench. If you don't want to be that lab scientist forever, no one stays in one role forever, right? So having some perspective there, even when you are a middle schooler, high schoolers,
I visibility.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great question, Jacqueline. Have you got any thoughts on that, Christy?
Yeah, I think Jacqueline's, spot on with this. In some respects, especially drug development, drug discovery, but also academia too. Sometimes in STEM, we're a little bit of a black box, right, to the outside world. Even my own family does not understand really what I do for a living. But I think that that's a missed opportunity, though, because I think that there's no secret in this, right? And how we do what we do, and there's a lot of exciting careers that are part of especially industry that are not at the bench, that requires really important critical thinking skill sets. And so I think it's an important challenge for us to figure out, how do we help educate the public at large about what it is that, for those of us in drug development and drug discovery, what do we do? How do we make drugs? What are the process, et cetera? And I think that could have a benefit throughout society as a whole, instead of it kind of just being this sometimes kind of secretive thing where just a drug pops up and people don't always understand the wheres or whys of it.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely right. It's such a big, how do we tackle it though? It's such a big task, isn't it? It's about bringing industry and academias together. It's about bringing governing bodies and schooling and universities and academias together, isn't it? But yeah, it is mind blowing, because you think maths and the mathematics side. So often or not, people think teaching maths, they don't necessarily think about a whole breadth of world that is open up beneath that, which is just, fascinating. So I think that is a hurdle that we're going to have to continue, trying to shed light on. There is a comment here that's come through from Nia, which I thought was an interesting one. I hope I've pronounced your name correctly. I don't know if you've seen that, Georgia, about a 17-year-old.
Yes. So asking for some advice about her daughter, actually. So her 17-year-old is looking to get into biomedical engineering. How do we approach her summer programs, which she can truly understand the real world of STEM rather than just picking it as a major? Often the question comes from her is, what will my day look like? What do you do after pursuing a biomedical engineering degree? I mean, Christy, sort of what are your thoughts? How do we approach this to experience it before finalizing?
Yeah, I think so. I'll tell you a story about what kind of helped solidify why I was going into industry. When I was 16 years old, I had an uncle who was a chemist for a large pharmaceutical company, and he took me to work with him one day so I could actually see what is it like. What I wonder is, if Neha, if you know anyone, if you have any connections anywhere with somebody who may be able to work in the life science industry, or even if you don't, I wonder if there is an opportunity even to call up a university, see if there's anybody in that engineering area who can, talk with your daughter, or maybe even she could shadow for even a couple hours or something along those lines, to really be able to have that conversation. People love to talk about what they do, right? And they love to tell others about what they do. And so, I'm wondering if there are any opportunities here for her to be able to reach out to people who are already in this field to talk about what was their experience like, what do they do on a day-to-day basis, et cetera.
Yeah, great advice, Christy. Is there anything there to add to that, Sigma? Your thoughts?
Yeah, I fully agree. Being able to talk to an adult who can show the passion and also speak to the details of day to day, why they chose this field, how they are having impact. What I do see in this generation, this younger generation, though, is they're a little bit different than us in terms of they're mission driven, right? They need to know how this is impacting the world. They're also not really excited by 8 to 5 jobs, right? So they have a slightly different view than us, and it might be hard to communicate with them in that sense. But that mission component is truly there for us, right? For in life sciences, you are saving lives. You are
Patient centricity.
yeah, that impact. Being able to speak to that end goal, I think, also will resonate. And I mean, the more they get to work, they get to do summer research, etc., the better, for sure.
Thank you. That's hopefully some good advice there, Nia, for your daughter. And what a great biomedical engineering degree. That's a great degree. So I hope it all goes well. So the questions as well that came through from our community group, that was kind of culturally led, I guess, from a culture perspective for women wanting to kind of joining. Just trying to bring this question out. So I think it was here: foster a positive culture and ensuring retention is high and women stay and develop a career within STEM is important. So what initiatives perhaps do you have in mind, or have you seen work well to you both? I know that Sigma, we talked previously around the term retention and retaining of staff, which is so important, certainly for women that are coming in, where, from I think 2023, we've seen global statistics go up to about 26% of women now in STEM, so just over a quarter make up, the women that are in STEM at the moment. Which we as a group were talking about actually before coming live, because they were saying that although we have seen some incremental increases, which is positive, at the current rate in which we are growing that number, it actually shows that we probably won't see equality, or there be an equal balanced representation until nearly 2070, which is a long way away. So culture is important, retention is huge. Do you want to shed some light and some thoughts on this question, Sigma?
Sure, of course. So yeah, definitely bringing young women into STEM fields in the professional area is important. And I do feel there are a lot of good initiatives. More needs to be there, and we talked about role models, us being able to share our journey, etc. I do see in corporate setting, what works is having those affinity groups, right? Like for KBI, our DE program is called REACH, and we have a women's affinity group, but we also have various other affinity groups that people can join and have that safe space, right, where you can share your doubts, your concerns, get honest feedback. All of that is important. It's important that you again see role models. I feel, retention wise, being able to, like, the support people need is when they run into some wall, right? They run into
Barrier.
true challenges
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know how to solve it, right? In terms of they had a setback, they didn't get the promotion, or they're having issues with a coworker or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to find the right tools to work through it, right? The game is about just staying with it, right? Not give up, and learning that through in a positive environment, right? That gives you time, gives you that opportunity to bounce back is what's needed.
Yeah, love that resilience. So yeah, we got that in mind. And Christy, what are your thoughts with this question?
Yeah, I think that from a cultural standpoint, again, either in academia or in industry, I think we have to be really intentional about, recognizing certain challenges for women due to historical reasons, et cetera. And I just want to note the company that I just retired from, Veer, that company was incredibly forward thinking about, let's make sure that we know we're not seeing an imbalance between women and men. They were very intentional about reviewing salaries, et cetera, to make sure women typically don't negotiate salaries as much as often as men do. Make sure that we weren't underpaying women because of just this social nature of things, and make sure really question ourselves: are we having a bias? When we're promoting, are we considering something for one individual that not for another, that may be having to do really with more social aspects because of their gender, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that really is important, to really take honest looks, within a workplace about, what have we inherited, something that we didn't intend.
Yeah.
And then, like Sigma said, as women, we have to foster other women, right? And be there for each other, and really give a hand up and support at the times where things are tough, right?
Yeah. No, I think that's such an important thing, and I think the piece that you've just mentioned there is where maybe the mentorship and the sponsorship kind of comes into play. Have either one of you been mentored before? Yeah. and what's your kind of experience been of that then, Sigma? How are you've been mentored? Are you mentoring people at the moment? What benefits do you, I'm going to roll straight into this question, which did come up. So what kind of benefits, I guess, are you seeing from an internal sort of STEM women's perspective, supporting wise?
Yeah, so I'll answer this, absolutely transparently, that I've seen good mentorship and not so good mentorship, right? Not intentionally, but the mentors also may not know exactly what it means, right? How do you truly support someone? So to me, good mentorship, and I've been lucky to receive it in some context, is it can be more formal, where it is you're helping your mentee to network, speak positively on their behalf, help them identify opportunities. But it again can be somewhat from the background, you're supporting them to solve some problems, right? And giving them some life lessons that they can take, and then they can solve their issue.
Yeah.
So I have had very formal mentors where it did something, but not to the level that I could have used in early career, right? But I also have had people who I didn't even seek out as mentors, who actually said, "Hey, let me mentor you, help you.
Yeah.
Don't you approach it this way?" I see something in you. And that's what I try to do now as a mentor, right?
Yeah, I love that. Has that been more internal, out of curiosity, in terms of the businesses that you've worked within at the time? Or has that just been part of being in different network groups or community groups?
Mostly internal, but there have been like through network opportunities as well. So I'm naturally not a super network person, but it's a balance, right? You want to have a very broad network, but you also want to cultivate few relationships.
Yeah,
and,
love that.
and make
it's the quality of the relationship, isn't it? Yeah, no, I understand. And Christy, what are your experiences with this?
Yeah, I've been in both, formal mentoring situations, and then mentoring situations that just happened kind of organically. I want to note, some of my greatest mentors actually have been men. And so I want to just also note for this community, like, they are our allies in this, right? And really, it takes everyone. And the greatest mentors that I ever had were, people who taught me how to question myself. Again, don't negotiate against yourself. Like, people who told you get in there and lead. Don't be afraid. You got this, right? Things like this, like, it really matters when you have people who can see you in ways that you don't necessarily see yourself. Right. And so I think sometimes those more organic relationships where you really know somebody, they can speak to you in a way that you get it, right? That you hear it. And so, even if there's no formal mentorship program, et cetera, please, again, for this community, don't hesitate to reach out to people that people that you respect, and go a little bit deeper on that mentorship level with them, because it can really make all the difference in how you feel about yourself and your career.
Yeah, I love that. I think mentorship is such an important thing. We had a big, a separate kind of topic on this one where it was like the difference between internal and external and good mentorship and bad. And I think you've touched topic like on all of that. So that's really beneficial. When we were just talking about the culture, just something I thought I would just throw out there for the audience, certainly those that are looking at either transitioning into the industry for the first time. But I think that, you mentioned about kind of the values of the business from a cultural perspective. Is kind of what are they doing to demonstrate better equality or diversity or supporting women in development. I just think that getting a feel at whether it's an interview stage or getting networked with other people maybe in that organization, get a feel for what the company's mission, vision, and values are. Because I just think that, from a retention perspective, you want to ensure that you're joining a business that's value aligned, that's, supports women and has demonstrated that support of and development of women. So I just think that's something to really pay attention to if you are transitioning into a company for the first time. So I just thought I would flag that up. It came up into my mind as we moved into the mentors.
And Louise, to that end too, if you get in that company and it's not what you thought it was, right? And you're not feeling supported, look elsewhere, right? I'll be honest, I left a company that was not supportive of women in my early career, right? And I think it really makes a difference when you work somewhere that really tries for gender equity in the workplace. It can make all the difference in you and your ability to, and how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, and I just think it's demonstrating nowadays. It's all about innovation. It's about DE&I, demonstrating equity and equality. It's all of those things. If you're not kind of working within an organization that is paying attention to those important kind of trends and something that we're trying to all close the gap on, then you've just got to weigh up, is that the long-term business for you? Do you see a career development path there for you, et cetera, et cetera? But yeah, we've got some great, so well said. Thank you, Nia. I don't know which part of that was. I'm presuming I'm going to say it's not me. It's Sigma or Christy. So well said. Someone that sees something impactful in what you don't see in yourself. Love that. Mentorship is a blessing if you can find the right partnership. 100% agree. Because, again, bad mentors, necessarily the term bad, and sometimes those that just tell you what you want to hear, or it's a bit more of a friendly kind of conversation that doesn't always get you above the line thinking. you want someone that's going to stretch your like imagination, your thought process, take you into a direction you hadn't necessarily thought about, question what it is that you're doing, how you can improve, all those sorts of things. So yeah, thank you, Nia, for that question. We've still got some great ones coming through, but I'm really mindful of the fact that we are running out of time, and we've literally got a minute or so left. We've got Rosie Grant, who used to be another co-host here in Lift Up. A few months back, she's off traveling the world at the moment, so she's in Peru. I think Sigma knows Rosie as well. They did their Lift Up Connect together last year. So thank you so much for those joining. We have got a final question that we always love to ask all of our key speakers, and love to get your responses on this one. So what is the best bit of advice you would give your younger self? Christy, I'm going to come to you with this one.
Yeah, it's really simple. It's just trust yourself. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
I feel like we need to get so many like little one phrases, captions,
Taglines.
quotes, taglines. That's it. Love that, Christy. Trust yourself. And Sigma?
Yeah, something similar. Just stay with it, right? The only thing you need to do is not give up, because it will work out. The time scale may be slightly different than you wanted. The trajectory might be slightly different. One of the things my dad used to tell me is nothing succeeds like success. You just need little bit of success. You may not make the big steps, but as long as you're making progress, you'll get there, right? Have that longer term plan.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that demonstrating that persistence and resilience, there are always times in life that you're going to find something a bit tough, challenging. You've got to naturally obviously weigh up, you know, getting through it and how long that's going to take and how much energy and emotional, all that kind of thing. But generally speaking, you give it a bit of time and you work through it, and it can be even rewarding off the back end of it. So I love that. Thank you, Sigma. Well, I love that question. Thank you so much for sharing and being so honest. We've got a LinkedIn user here. It's obviously set to privacy settings, so we can't unfortunately see who it is, but ask for help. Being vulnerable always allows for growth. Couldn't agree more. So thank you for sharing that. So I think pretty much our time is up. Thank you so much for everybody that has been commenting. Thank you for everybody that's been joining. As you know, we are in the process at the moment of launching our Lift Up Journey podcasts. We've already recorded over half a dozen. So we've got some fabulous speakers that are going to be sharing that conversations with our Katie Barber here, a Lift Up Ambassador Group in FDI. So really excited about that. We hopefully might have an event coming up in Basel very soon, and another one hopefully later on in Europe. So lots of things going on. And I think that's about it. So thank you, Christy and Sigma, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure having you. And until our next monthly broadcast, goodbye, audience, and thank you very much for joining. Take care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.